Hi guys, it's been a while since I last uploaded. We have had a lot of technical issues, particularly the camera, so if you see me checking off to the right over here, that's probably why. I might also be checking some of my stats because I do hold them on my second monitor. But let's get right into this. So before we get into it, we've missed a lot of LJL because I haven't covered anything since spring split. I haven't actually covered anything in League since like the start of summer and the LCS walkout. We might come up and do a follow-up video on that. We also might not. It depends on how I feel. But we're gonna just start with LJL playoffs and do like an unofficial English broadcast, I guess. Well, it's not really a broadcast; it's like a video highlights where I talk shit. So to start off with, we're going to talk about the settings of the playoffs. So it's worth mentioning Sengoku Gaming, for people who haven't followed LJL since they were the best team in LJL by miles in spring, right up until the grand final where they lost to DFM. Sengoku Gaming haven't made it. So let's talk about why. And why is right here on the screen here. And that is DFM had to forfeit a game against Crest Gaming Act, which meant that Crest Gaming Act had the same record in terms of series as best of three series as Sengoku. Sengoku only lost to Hawks and DFM, who were the top two teams in the league. Completely valid. I think losing to DFM at the moment, valid. They only lost one series technically, and that was this forfeited series. Losing to Hawks, again, I think valid. Hawks are really coming on by strides, and I really like the way they're looking. Then we have the third seed Fennel, who Sengoku Gaming beat, by the way, who also beat Hawks, which big win for them. Big win for the region as well, I'd say. It means the region's looking a lot more competitive, despite how good DFM are looking and how like out of reach they are. Like second and third are really, really good. Does mean that this is a bit of a dead rubber match because Crest Gaming are only here because of the DFM series. They lost to all other members of the top three. And like I think they even had close series against Burning Core, Axes from memory. I don't think they had a close series against V3. I don't think anyone did. In fact, having just checked it, they got battered by everyone in the top three, apart from DFM, who they didn't get a play, and Sengoku Gaming, who obviously didn't technically make top four, but you know. And then they had a close series against Axes, who were very uncompetitive. So yeah, they're not exactly the most competitive. This is probably the biggest like dead rubber game. I'd say not dead rubber. It's like the biggest dead game, I guess. Like DFM should never lose this. I think if they don't clean sweep, it's a bit of an embarrassment for DFM, to be honest. I mean, DFM dropped very few games outside of the series where they forfeited. They dropped only 2 games in all of their best of threes. Obviously, only playing one time through, which is why Sengoku didn't make it, is a bit like it makes it a bit easier to not drop games because you're just heavily focused every time you're playing because you need to win every game. Like Sengoku didn't make it despite only dropping 3 series against all the top 3 teams. So, like, it's a bit more based on. It's a bit easier to not go. It's a bit easier to not drop games, unlike the LPL, which plays 16 games. And now, sorry, I've spent a lot of time talking. I haven't got to why DFM had to forfeit this game. And the reason why DFM had to forfeit this game is really sad, actually. It's a big scar on the region. So for those that don't know, there was a bit of a scandal in LJL where DFM fired their coaching staff of Kazu and Seros, their head coach Kazu and their support coach Seros, but didn't fire their analyst Gizmo. And from the UK, speaking enough Japanese to translate this tweet, but not enough Japanese to like know everything that's going on. I was really confused at first. I didn't know whether like they decided they were underperforming despite dominating. It was something to do with performances, or whether something internal had happened. And so when I got this tweet about them forfeiting a game, which happened, I didn't see it until after because I watch a lot of the games in the LJL because of time difference a lot later because it clashes with like uni and work. And then I saw tweets like this: MVP at the split, DFM told 2. 100%, and I was like, oh, what the fuck's happened here? Like, Kazu and Seros, Seros has been at DFM since April of 2013. Mostly as a support, as a sub mid laner, but like, he's been in that org for ages. Like, what the fuck's happened here? And so, I did like a little bit of Googling, trying to find official sources beyond like this tweet, and obviously, with my limited Japanese, it was quite hard to find anything. Now, the only official thing I found was on DFM's official website, which annoyingly, they don't do their own official translations, which obviously makes sense because they don't have like they're not a big international brand. They're very Japanese orientated. And so I was like, I tried to translate this with a friend and get like the best to the best of my knowledge, like what the rough thing says, and it sort of says what the tweets themselves sort of confirm. So the tweets themselves said things like, "Oh, Toll 2 was being abused. I think there was even like he was made to break down and cry. Like it was very much the LJL's like Reggie situation, except by people who were more respected, I guess. I mean, I don't really know because I'm not into the scene enough. Like, I mean, this sort of sums it up. Like, this says Kazukochi and Seroskochi are like the two names that he gave. And like, so it much seems to be those two people. So I guess the fact that it's only two, it's also harkens back to Griffin and their like controversy with coaching. But yeah, it's very tragic. We're not going to go over it too much. I'm glad that they've sorted it. The DFM don't have to deal with this issue. Toll 2 particularly is out of that issue where he's being bullied at work. I'm very glad about that. Hopefully all the players can move on, and hopefully Kazu and Seros can grow and not be abusive, I guess. I'm trying to say this without, like, I don't know enough. I can't make too many assumptions. Like, yeah, my kanji knowledge is very limited, and as much as Google Translate does help, it's not great for Japanese, I'm going to be honest. It likes to take the generic readings, like, or not the generic, it always seems to take the wrong reading. Like, if you want a kunyomi reading, or a yonyomi reading, it will always take the opposite. And, like, my dictionary is not great for compounds. So, like, it's alright. We got a reasonable translation, but, like, I wouldn't want to make assumptions, and I don't know the nuances of certain words. So, we're going to leave it at, like, it was abusive coaching. Anyway, let's get on to the series. So, as we're approaching the first draft, let's talk about... Oh, we've already got some bans. So, we've already got... oh my god. We got an... I don't know why I can't say Addy. We've already got an Addy ban and a Kaiser ban versus a LeBlanc ban. The Annie and Kaiser from DFM. DFM love to ban Kaiser unless they themselves are thinking of picking her. They prefer playing her mid lane when Addy is playing, which is... I mean, it's something that people do. They also ban Annie quite a lot, and they don't seem to ban the two often together, but like that's not really a big deal. They also like to ban the Rel and Cassante, but for this game they've banned Sejuani. And it's worth saying that CGA themselves really like the Sejuani as like a crutch when they're playing not so much better teams, but when they're playing like aggressive teams and don't want to lose. They also have they themselves responded with a Jace and LeBlanc ban. Jace and LeBlanc quite often get banned against DFM, so it's not uncommon to see them. Nico is not a pick we often see get through the ban phase, but when it does, it tends to get... I can't even say it really gets picked up that often. DFM liked initially to ban it quite a lot. They've started picking it up a couple of times recently, but it's also picked up a couple of bans against them. So it's more of a ban pick than a picked pick, I guess. Actually, its presence is like it's slowly dropping, I guess you could say. Like, it didn't get banned by either team or picked by either team. Oh no, it did get picked against them actually when they played V3. So maybe it's got a high presence, mostly in the ban. Renekton, often a pick that comes into LJL. CGA themselves love it on Q. I always get confused because they have it the wrong way around. And Q. I'm gonna go Q. I'm gonna go Q because that sounds like Q. Q. I'm gonna say Q. He's technically a coach rather than their support. Primo is technically for support. He has subbed in for most of the split. It's worth saying. Not sure why Primo is not playing because he is still in the side. Technically. But he hasn't played a single game since his last game was in spring. But he's still technically in the org. The Kha'Zix pick. Kha'Zix doesn't get a lot of legs in the league. It's not a bad pick up. I'm not really a fan, but like, especially when paired with Renekton. But LJL gonna LJL. The Rumble pickup. DFM like to pick up Rumble every so often, especially into comps that come into them, so I'm not going to critique it too much. Poppy's a nice pickup into two people that like to jump onto you, so always going to be a fan of the Poppy pickup here. If I was to guess what what CGA would pick up next, it's got to be something else that follows up. They do, teams like to pick up, they like to pick up a mage mid. This is probably going to be a Galio mid. Their support tends to be engage and their mid tends to be enchanter. Sorry, I don't know what I said before that, but the thing that I said just there, engage and enchanter, was the correct way around. I feel like I said the opposite before. We're going to completely ignore it. CGA, as a team, often quite like to ban ADCs in second rotation. They like to ban 2 ADCs here. Especially as DFM haven't picked one up. I can imagine that might be happening. Ooh, that's a bit surprising. CGA... Although they do quite... Aster bans are not uncommon for them, to be fair, actually. Looking at it. When they don't pick it himself, they do quite like to ban it. I'm just going to quickly pause this thing because I need to sort out my speaker. While sorting out my speaker, I realised my camera was covering all the people, so that's a bit tragic. The Xayah ban makes sense against CGA, as CGA do like to pick up Xayah, and it's quite regularly banned against them. I'd expect this to be an ADC ban because you really want to, like, even though Milan, in my opinion, isn't as good as Utapon, when we're talking, like, historically, overall, as a whole thing, but, like, I would still... Ooh, they've got another Harp ban. I guess Harp, by like banning against Harp, like you are limited the number of options he has, and Blitzcrank bans are quite are surprisingly common in the LJL. So like, I'm not against it. I don't know if I would personally pick up Blitzcrank in this DFM comp, to be honest with you, but I guess like I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna bitch about it. The Rel ban. Does make sense from DFM. They don't like playing against Rel at all. So I guess that does make sense to them. I'd expect this to be an engaged champ, as I said earlier. It's going to be Nautilus. I don't see why they wouldn't go Nautilus. I expect DFM to respond with two, like... I was going to say Peel. I expect them to respond with something like a Braum, maybe a Varus. And then I expect that CGA will just respond with something that they find comfortable. ADC, maybe something like Samira, maybe something like... So I'm saying Varus Braum here, or something. Definitely Braum. I don't know if I'd say Varus. Milan does quite like the Varus. Oh, there we go. I mean, he might not lock it in, but I would say Varus is not a bad pick for him. So yeah, I expect this to be just Harp slamming in Braum, which would leave... Rumble would obviously go up top to Arya, not to Arya, to Utapon playing top, yeah, there we go, instead of Toll 2. And then Arya would be playing Nico. There we go, there's the Braum, beautiful, bish bash bosh. I do expect the response, actually. I initially was trying to think of things it could be. I said Samira. It's not going to be Samira, they don't play Samira. I'm thinking... No, Honey does play Samira, but it'll probably be like a Severe or something like that, because that's more common LGL. I mean, I don't know necessarily. Honey does have one of the deeper aggressive pools in LJL. Like, he plays a lot of Zeri, a lot of Samira. He still quite likes his Jinx, I guess, a bit. He likes Xayah is definitely his pick, but like he also likes his aggressive picks. This would be his first severe pick of like this split, but like it's not something he can't play. Yeah. So as I said, that's sort of how they line up. Good little draft to start off with. If favouring draft, I'm gonna say DFM. I mean, it's LJL. It's got to be DFM all the time. I also feel like CGA's comp of just going in is almost like hard countered by just LGL playstyles. It's a bit tragic, really. If it was me, I'd rather see CGA win because, you know, we don't want to see DFM maintain dominance, and I think there's a lower bracket. I actually can't remember. But, yeah, we want DFM to... We would quite like to see CGA win. Anyway, I think DFM probably still 3-0 this. We'll see. Into the game. So, as we get into the game, One thing I would say to expect from sort of both these teams, to be honest, is that DFM sort of don't really control the tempo, but they're allowed. Both teams allow the other team to get a lot of space. If we're talking about runes, they're sort of what I'd expect from both teams. I don't really think you can expect much different from either of these two sides. The comment is obviously for poke from Utapon. I think Utapon basically just wants to survive in lane. I mean, I don't know top lane matchups. I'm going to be real. I'm a support player. Fuck me with matchups. But like, he just wants to sort of survive in lane and then help his team with his teamfight prowess, shot calling prowess. Like Utapon, that's what Utapon's known for. He's not going to be a lane bully. He might be a lane bully, but I mean, look at his Twitter poll. He's not exactly going to be like a massive. He will be. He's not going to be a massive lane bully. He's not going to bully Nap out of lane necessarily. He's going to want to control what he can control, which is shot calling, team fight prowess. And we'll see what happens. Both sides. So, CGA started without a leash on top side, which means that they don't really know where the Kha'Zix is. AI even has DFM massively favoured. I don't think that's off picks, to be honest. I think AI's got a little bit of bias in there. Because I think the AI does it off of what happens in the season, and DFM tend to draft in a similar way all season. So, like, things get massively stacked in their favour. Also, that Utapon count is absolutely legendary as he trades away. Harp should be safe here. I doubt he dies. Honey is not really known for his follow-up in lane. He's very aggressive in team fights. That tends to be where he stands out from. I don't know how much you can really say he's improved from his first split with Sengoku, where I was a big fan. We'll have to see. To be honest, Utapon's doing better in lane than I thought, especially against Nap, who is seen as like an upper mid-tier top laner. So maybe that's why they've been running Utapon at top lane so much. We'll have to see. I mean, he's played a couple of games in the top lane. I mean, he played both. He played all the games against Sengoku and V3 in top lane. I mean, like, I feel like Milan isn't like a weakness. Toll 2, though, I would love to see him come back. Come back regularly and play like every game, because I do think he's a good top laner. I know he looked bad against bad at MSI, but I don't think he's as bad as he showed in spring. He definitely came on a lot in the series when he played against Hawks and Axes. So, which is the last time I probably fixed him. Oh my god, Utapon is doing too much, honestly. I wasn't expecting that. I guess I haven't watched enough DFM since the controversy, because I do tend to avoid them just because they're just too good. I like watching, like, not really CGA, I like watching Hawks, Fennel, and Sengoku. And even though V3 keep getting smashed, I like watching V3 because you can always see future players coming up, like Yujio in this game, who's playing for CGA. Was a former player when they did really badly, and that's a nice opening kill. Glad it went on Nico. A bit of a waste of a flash, to be honest with you. I guess it was worth, maybe, in some world. We'll see as the game develops. Worth saying as we go into this replay here, I was correct. I've just got confirmation. The support/coach playing for CGA is called Ku. And DFM Aria, oh my god, popping off. Yujio, still looking a little green. I mean, to be fair, when you've got such a small talent pool, it's not surprising that some players look green whilst getting promoted to the top sides. He's definitely come on a lot, though, since he first appeared for V3. I do really like watching him play now. I still think he's got a lot to go if he wants to get into the top echelon, which I would count as like Sengoku. I mean, not really Hawks, Fennel, and DFM. And this is talking about org size rather than like their history in the league. So please don't shout at me if you're a big Hawks fan, because they are like relatively storied, was Fennel and not in league. Yeah, I think he's definitely got potential. It was him and Unica that I really liked watching in that V3 side. Unica not really doing very much. I think he's gone back to academy. I will check that in a minute. But Yujio has really gone and shown that he is actually a good player. The other player was, oh my god, ADC for Hawks. It's a really good gank. I think Steel might come in and clean them up, though. I feel like it was good that they got the ADC, but Harp's done a really nice job getting onto Honey. Steel ignored him a bit, but I feel like they'll eventually just catch Honey here, because Honey's stuck in the corner. And there's not much you can do once you get stuck in that corner. Cassin shouldn't die here. Okay, Cassin didn't die here. That was really amateurish from CGA. They should have backed off as soon as they got the kill and just left lane, honestly, because they knew Steel was there. Well, they should have known Steel was there anyway. So it was a bit amateurish, but I don't know. I like the fact that they were proactive enough to get the kill on Milan. I think Milan is definitely, or the bot lane in lane is definitely a weakness of DFM, because Milan is so green as a player. Like we can see here, like, okay, no, actually, to be fair, Steel's done that quite cleverly, dodging Cassin's vision. Could have reacted faster, and if he knew that was a likelihood, because clearly he did, because he hex flashed over, then maybe he shouldn't have abandoned them. But I don't know. I think swings and roundabouts. He could have been just doing the hex flash for getting out of just hiding from vision. So actually, to be fair to CJ, they didn't know he was there. Maybe they should have expected he would be there, because he does like hovering around bot lane. But to be fair, they didn't know he was there. Poor vision from them. Yeah, you can go on to that. Okay, so I was right about Unica. He is back in Academy. Technically, he's on Fennel's Academy. Sorry. Technically, he's a sub for Fennel, but he's back. He's technically in Academy playing for them, as most subs do in LJL. Their Academy essentially just means that you have a 10-man roster. Arya's gonna catch Yuzio here, but Arya... Oh no, it's the... Oh my god, I got tripped by fucking Nico clone. That's embarrassing. This Retail Dance, I doubt that DFM actually opt into it. They quite like Steel just going for solo objectives and wasting time, basically. And looking for picks. They're going to get a pick here. There's no way There's no way Q lives here, and then they just get the free Herald. And that sort of things I don't like about LJL. They do quite like... Why did they abandon him? They win the fight until... until Arya comes up, and even then they probably still win the fight if they took it quickly enough and got out before they could get caught. Instead, Q gets caught and they're forced to trade for Drake. Personally, I'm still a bigger fan of taking Drakes because I like Drake stacking because I'm a nerd. But yeah, my hair looks really weird in the camera, by the way. I don't know what it is. And I look really red as well. But whatever. It's fine. It's fine. We're doing more important things. Already a 3k gold lead for DFM. And I feel like this is just why they absolutely dominate the league. Like, they seem to have a better understanding of what to engage on than anyone else in the LGL. And it's a bit shit, really, because Japan really... It doesn't have the player pool to, like, have just... Well, it does have constant rookies, but it doesn't have the player pool like other regions do. And so it's a bit shit that the players that are in there, like, let's be honest, Yuzio's been in here. Yuzio, Nap, Honey, even Cassin have been in the league, and Ku actually has been around the league long enough that he should have a reasonable idea of what fucking macro is, and that he should be looking at macro rather than just focusing on mechanics. And the mechanics aren't even that good, so clearly they're not doing enough of that either. No, my main complaint about the region is that why do DFM seem to have a greater understanding than everyone else about mechanics, even though about macro, even though their macro isn't that good. Like, I do find that really disappointing. Anyway, moving on. It's come to my attention that Yuzio has the same haircut as Unica. I'm gonna quickly see. Oh shit! See if I can show. I'll bring it up when they come up, when they show Yuzio next. Oh no, okay. No, he's got a better haircut than Yuzio actually. Unica has one of the worst haircuts in the league. Which is doing him dirty because I like him as a player. He does seem to have a lot of potential, and he's got one of the better macro junglers in the league. Or in the region. Because that is basically the league. So yeah. Honey should be fine here. Oh no, Honey should be fine here. He did stick around a bit longer. Milan probably opted into that trade more than he should, because now he's going to be really vulnerable when Cassin gets here. He does ding level 8 and gain the health, as does Honey. So he should actually be alright. He's going to back off, which is a good timer. Honey's already got that static shiv as well, so yeah. Arya roaming down here could easily get... Okay, he's not going to run down here on his own. They need to avoid Yuzio, because Yuzio's not going to get caught. Steel shouldn't be dead here, because, you know, region stuff. Steel seems to think he's caught Kassin. I don't get how DFM will get... He's going to get away with this. He's just gone into 3 players. Arya is his only support. Harp is a little bit down here. As you can see, he was down in the river. But why did Steel get away with that? Like, if that was CGA doing that to DFM, Steel, if he was a CGA player, would have been collapsed on and would have died. And they'd have won that fight. They'd have won the engage because they'd have got out in time. It's really weird to watch. And I don't know what the reasoning is. Why other teams don't want to collapse as much. I know that DFM are just really good at punishing within the league. But I don't know quite what the logic is there. We'll see. I mean, maybe that wasn't the best time to examine it because Steel should have been out relatively safely. But I don't know. It's just interesting to me why they seem to get away with a lot more than every other team in the league. What I do really like about DFM versus all the other teams in the league is the way that Harp and Steel really work well together. Like, Ku is working with Kassim, but there always seems to be a bit more distance between the two of them. Which means that if one of them gets caught, like, Q is far more likely to die than like Harp is in a situation where they get caught out, and it's because Harp plays a lot closer to Steel. Like, there are times where, like, here Steel's get abandoned, but it's mostly so that they can protect Milan, and then they can go in for this full engage, which sort of just kind of proves my point, to be honest with you, that they play much nicer together. Kassin here needs to leave, not stick around, because if they do face check, it will be his 2, most likely. Although, actually, looking at it, Arya did face check on his own, as like that. Arya, please don't die, that would be really dumb. Milan's coming to back him up, but Milan's gonna... I mean, Milan, why are you getting so close? You're literally playing someone with a shit ton of rage. That's why I don't like Milan. Like, why I feel Milan is a little bit green within the region still. Like, Honey, Utapon, Marble, even Dress Code probably don't make that mistake. I mean, actually, maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Milan. A lot of the rookie players a lot of the newer players probably do make that mistake. But I wouldn't see that mistake from Marble, Utapon, Honey, who I would consider the top 3 ADCs in the league. Actually, that is fair. That is fair. We're gonna say it's fair. It's definitely fair. Yeah, I guess there is one other thing I'd say, which is this was mostly caused by Arya, to be honest. Like, what's Arya doing here? Milan's sort of forced to bail him out so Arya doesn't die, but Arya should then back off once Harp also reacts. Milan should also back off once Harp also reacts to help Arya. Here we go again, exemplifying Steel and Harp playing together. They probably won't get anything off of it, but they just do it so nicely, and it's always worth pointing out within the region. Because, like, Ku is here, but Kassin is miles off from Ku, and it's just a big difference. It's the difference between the top teams in this league, definitely. Also, this sort of roving gang thing, where, like, they have all their players, apart from Utapon, who's clearing up their own jungle, just going between the 2 objectives. I mean, realistically, they should get punished for it somewhere on the map. I mean, CGA didn't really have the ability to, because they didn't have anything set up, because they tried to contest Drake, and then they did, like, the LCS thing of just staring at the people take the Drake and then walk away, and they just lost the fight. Thingy. My hair really looks awful. It looks like a fucking bowl cut. I mean, part of it is because it's so short. Utapon's got caught out, but, like, losing Utapon, maybe even losing Utapon for Kassin. No, just losing Utapon, which was a bounty, but for a second Herald, Drake, and a pick, not bad, really. And they're going to get a tower off of it as well, probably. I mean, maybe in the long run. I don't think Milan's going to get it straight away. And Arya is now pushing T2. Like, it's pretty good. Steel needs to watch out, especially with Harp not nearby, or not too nearby, because he can't take that fight. Trading tower for tower, really well done. I do like the fact that CGA did have the wherewithal, because there are some teams this league who wouldn't trade tower for tower, which is a bit bad. God, I really hate my hair. Fuck, mate. This video is just going to be me hating my hair. We're already half an hour through, probably, by the time I cut it down. Oh, Jesus. So I've just missed the replay. Ooh, no. So I've just missed the replay, so I'm going to rewind it back a little bit. But this was actually really clever from Kassin. So you see this fight here where they catch out Ku as Harp and Arya. Then Yutapon takes this fight against Honey. And the reason why this is clever movement from Kassin is he's coming across to cover his player taking the bot T1. And then he's also knows that Yutapon's been playing around in this jungle for a bit, which is whilst the rest of the team's been going around as well. Or like he's at least been playing in the jungle as a whole. So it's really clever from Kassin to come across and cover. And Yutapon just basically hand delivers himself. So it's really cool from Kassin. I'm glad that he's got that wherewithal. I haven't seen a lot from Kassin, so I can't really say whether he's a good jungler or not. I don't even know what teams he's been on, to be honest. Okay, so this is why I'm not really aware of who Kassin is. It's because he's an import, and whilst he's been in the league for 2 years, all at Crest Gaming, he's spent a lot of time sort of sharing time with Funari. That was 2022. He shared time with Funari. He didn't play in 2020. And even then, in 2020, he was known as Big Shot. So, yeah, I guess that's probably why I don't know him. In 2021, I didn't watch a lot of LJL, which is probably when he got a lot of time on his own to play. And anyway, in the live, we can see that DFM are basically just going to take bot T2 and just march their way down. They're taking advantage of the cross-map attempt from Yujiro and Kassin, whilst Arya distracts them. Arya probably dies, but he might get a trade here for Kassin. He's not going to. He's actually just going to bully him off on his own. I'd be really interested to see how that happened, and hopefully we can get a replay on that. Because I was mostly focused on the bot lane, but if we don't, then I will wind it back a bit. We're not going to. Fun. Love the replay. Okay, so just going back to this, we can see Arya provokes them with his clone whilst they take top. We can sort of see him taking the fight. Gets a good ult off. Kassin was already weak coming into it. And gets a good Q. I guess it's just Kassin was already too weak coming into it, which is good. Good play from Arya. Very unfortunate from CGA. But there should have been ways for Kassin to not be low, surely. So maybe Arya actually played that even better and got a few early hits on Kassin, and that's why. If so, bit shit from CGA that they weren't able to trade that back effectively. I mean, obviously they pushed onto him and he got his ult off, but still, I don't know. A bit hard to say, to be honest. So DFM are looking here to set up a Baron. They've caught out Kassin. They're going to chase after him, but I don't think they're going to get the kill because Yujiro has effectively covered off Steel. He's going to use his R to get rid of Steel. To get rid of Yujiro. But Kassin's still going to live, yeah. But they've effectively pushed off the jungler, so they might look to force here. Q has got vision over the wall, really nicely done. A bit early though, because Harp's going to clear it out really quickly, and he's got vision traded back to see where Q's playing. Honey got a bit of a poke over the wall, but they're not going to do very much. The Q's going to go out too early, so now they've got to engage in. They're basically just sitting here and watching. Q's been caught out and dead. Nap was kind of caught out. Yujiro in with a big ult, good taunt, but he's going to trade his own life to save Honey. And Honey sat around too close, so Honey's going to have to waste his flash. Fortunately for them, Kassin and Nap should still be alive, as well as Honey. So it's a 2 for none and a Baron for DFM. Really nicely done by them, taking advantage of the fact that they pushed Kassin out so he couldn't try to 50-50. He is going to get the Drake back, but honestly I'd rather have the Baron than the Drake, and it's not worth really contesting from DFM, although they probably could. Really, Honey wasted his time there, sticking around too close and having to burn his flash, which means the next team fight's really going to go in the favour of DFM, and DFM are actually going to contest this. They got out fast enough with the enhanced recall, and Kassin's just going to have to give it up as he's sitting there on his own, and that's Drake for DFM as well. Nicely leashed by Kassin, and Kassin might have to give up more here as Arya and Harp are in pursuit, along with Steel close by. They're definitely going to take the blue buff, but Ku kind of got out by Harp. Harp is obviously playing on his own as a support, so he's not going to be able to do too much. but it does trade a blue buff nicely, and they're going to get Drake. And they got Drake, and they're going to get the tower as a result of their enhanced minions. They're not going to look to push for T3, at least in mid here. They might look to try and siege it, but they're going to go for it a bit more than I expected, actually, because CGA have given them a lot of space to allow Nap and Kassin to do work in the top lane. The issue with allowing Kassin and Nap to do work in the top lane as they fight this 5v3 in the siege is that they've just traded a Baron. They've just traded a tower, a T2 tower, a T1, admittedly a bounty for 2 towers and 2 inhibitors. And Arya gets the nice engage with his R. Nap and Yu-Gi-Oh caught out. Nap going down very quickly. Steel hits him into the wall and gets him. As Yu-Gi-Oh goes down as well to Utapon. Q looking quite weak. He's going to have to return to his fountain as Honey is stuck under his tower. Cassian has only just recalled. I think DFM might back off a little bit as they got low health bars and critical players, including Arya, Milan, and Steel. Utapon will probably trim the wave as he has done, and they'll look to back with enhanced banner and minion, with enhanced recall as they take whatever they can from the blue side of the jungle. Really nicely played. The only thing really worthy of note that has actually come out of that play for CGA, other than obviously losing their inhibitors and their towers, is they've got some good vision around Drake, but Drake's not going to happen for a while, and I don't think they're even going to want to contest Drake, because DFM will probably have all 3 inhibs by that point. I don't know exactly how far the cooldown is, because it doesn't actually say anywhere on the broadcast. As Arya gets a good L onto Honey, which kills Honey quickly. No Sivir is going to be a massive reduced damage for CGA. Harp soaking up a lot of pressure from Nap really effectively. Arya's going to have to back as he's weak. Harp probably will have to as well, but Milan, Steel, and Utapon still basically full health bars, and they're going to Utapon's going to go and cover the mid wave, which should allow them to keep pushing it. They might just end here at 26 minutes. Would be a big win for them as Utapon goes in. Q caught on a hook. Yu-Gi-Oh very weak as they go down. Tower going down. Tower gone. Yu-Gi-Oh is going to be the first line of engagement, but actually it's going to be Nap and Q who go down first. Steel still not back. Honey's still not back in the fight. They're just going to have to watch their inhibitor go. Their Nexus go down. Castelli's too weak to contest as they go fountain diving, and that is 1-0 to DFM. I expect to see 2 quick games following after this one. So as we load into this draft, there's lots of things to take note of. I think personally, the first thing you're going to have to take note of is what CGA do in response to the rumble that came out of Utapon in the previous game, because Utapon's playing top again. So we sort of expect to see, we'll have to see what happens with that. I expect a Kaiser ban coming out of DFM again, because I don't think they'll want to play at mid in this series. The Poppy ban from CGA I quite like, because Poppy was very effective on, or Steel was very effective on the Poppy in the last game. I sort of expect, I didn't expect to see the Tristana particularly. DFM, I don't know what they'll go for. Probably, I was going to say an Enchanter, because I'd say Nico personally, because I think that's what CGA will want to pick up, but maybe they're not scared of what CGA can play, what Yu-Gi-Oh can do on Nico, especially as they've gone for the LeBlanc ban. Personally, as I said, I'd have banned Nico. I think Nico's a better champion. But LeBlanc has definitely got, Yu-Gi-Oh's already got a lot more hours on LeBlanc, and LeBlanc gets a lot more play in LJL as a whole, like as a franchise, I guess, like over time. So I can totally understand it. They're going to lock in the Nico as the first pick. I like that. It's a powerful pick. Well worth picking up for them. DFM might look to pick away the Sejuani at some point. I mean, Seju is one of CGA's crutch junglers, so I wouldn't be surprised. And there we can see it being hovered. Maybe just a taunt, but I doubt it. It would be a nice pickup for them. I don't know what they'd pair with it. They might look to get a powerful pick for Milan, or they might look to get a powerful pick for Utapon. Those would be the way I would go personally. I think they might hold off from picking anything for Arya or Harp, because they're quite nice to get counter picks on. But they might also look to set up Milan with an early support pick, especially given they already know what jungler they're pairing it with. That could be very effective. Hovering Lucian, I don't really like the Lucian. Oh, they've gone for Yone. Yone is definitely going to be played in mid lane. I doubt we'll see Utapon picking it up. surprised by that, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to see them pick mid so early. That means they'll definitely have to go for something. I imagine they go for something to set up Milan unless they're responding to a top lane pick from CGA in this rotation. They are going to pick away the Rumble. I think this is going to get locked in. I don't think you want to see. I don't think if you're CGA, I don't think you want to see Utapon on the Rumble again. I kind of expect a jungle pickup because CGA rarely, very rarely, they rarely let it go into the second rotation. I expect this to get locked in here. Kassin plays a decent Viego, but Yuji has also got a lot of experience playing with Viego, as Unico is basically a Viego 1 pick. As I said, Arya comes in with the response after seeing Nap lock in his champ, and I think that makes sense. So here we're going to see a lot of ADC and support bans. Rel is almost certainly going to get banned. I'd quite like to see a... If I'm CGA, maybe I want to see... I don't even know. If I'm CGA, I probably want to look at trimming Milan's pool more than anything else. Which... Varus wouldn't be a bad one. Xayah wouldn't be a bad one. There goes the Varus. I expect this to be a support ban from DFM because you want to limit what Q can play because Q hasn't got the widest champ pool in the world. Even by support standards. It probably... I would say Rel personally, but they might not go for the Rel. They might go for something like Alistar, which is ease of execution. There we go. There's the Alistar. Although I don't really know what shape of comp these two teams are going for. I expect CGA to probably ban... I would ban Xayah here, honestly. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense with the rest of the team comp, but it is one of Milan's clutches. I almost guarantee that's what he wants to pick in this situation. Especially if you want to go... If like... Okay, I don't know if I like the Rel ban, because I feel like DFM, there's a reason why they ban it and don't pick it themselves. As I was talking about the Xayah, it gets picked up. I don't really like it personally, but it is one of Milan's crutches. I don't like it in this comp personally, because I don't feel like it works with the rest of the champs who are all going in. It can technically go in. I know Kai'Sa's banned, but I would prefer the Kai'Sa into this comp. I quite like the Aphelios just for the pure output. But maybe you'd want to go something a bit more... See, in both comps, I feel like I'd personally want something a bit more ranged. But then there's a reason why I don't play ADC. I've got old man hands and I can't deal with all that mechanics. So I like something that's got reliability of taking damage. I expect this to be a hook champion because they like their engaged supports. It's going to be Nautilus. We see him play it a lot. He's been playing a lot of this comp in this team by Primo as well before Q came in and replaced him. This might just be, honestly, Rakan for the sake of allowing Harp to roam a lot. Pantheon I'd also quite like because it allows them to roam a lot. The reason I was leaning towards Rakan instead of anything else was because it just fits with Xayah. People like it with Xayah. Personally, I actually prefer Pantheon and Blitzcrank, so I wouldn't mind either of them, especially within the LJL meta. But we do get the Rakan, as I was saying. So, yeah, not a big deal. Yeah, as I said, I expect those rotations to come in. I expect Steel to be playing Seju. It was a good pick away, personally. Out of the two comps, I actually, weirdly enough, kind of like CGA's more, because it's all about getting that initial pick. But I don't think they'll get that pick, so I think DFM should win this quite comfortably and take a 2-0 lead. We'll see, though. As we start loading into the game, it's worth saying I do think the Utapon is going to have to put out a decent top lane performance again into Nap if he wants to do anything. I think, though, him playing on the Scion shouldn't be too hard for him. I think he's got a good experience of playing weird ADCs, which is why I think he does suit this top lane quite nicely. I think he's played Scion ADC, or like, you know, when the meta was like Scion would die to take a camp. I think he's done that quite a bit as the Scion. So I do expect him to put in a decent performance on the Scion. I don't know what his lane matchup of Sion into Rumble would be. I don't even know what the normal matchup is particularly. I can imagine that Rumble takes the advantage, but Sion doesn't really give a shit. So we'll see. Rumble taking the Comet makes sense into a tank. Steel's going to have to watch because Yusho's definitely looking for this here. Utapon is there to cover, but he doesn't really want to expose himself, and I'm glad that he didn't, to be honest. That's really nicely done for them. Ario should never get caught and won't ever get caught, especially with Harp roaming up, as he's known to do. And you can see that Steel's tucking back in nicely, so they got a 4-man core here if CGA do decide to do anything in the bot side of the jungle. I highly doubt they do. Oh, they're going to do it themselves. They're going to put pressure onto Harp. Harp gets caught. Honey gets caught out by Harp. Steel catches onto Q, but they're just going to do a lot of chunk. And that should be some stolen jungle. Kassid's come over to contest this. Personally, I'd leave. He's got the big chicken, but he's not going to get a lot else. And Steel gets all the small chickens. And Arya and Steel managed to get a lot of pressure. And Honey and Q being chunked out as well means that Harp and Milan should be able to do quite a lot in this bot lane. I do expect, though, that as DFM will be looking to play around this, both sides will look to play around this bot side, that this should really help DFM more than CGA, especially as the chickens are now gone. Harp gets another good engage onto Honey. Milan chooses to follow up the flash, and that's Honey dead. Honey's burnt flash and cleanse as well, and that's a lot of summoner spells. Burnt 3-2 in the bot lane. Surprised Q didn't lose any, but I guess as he's only got offensive ones, it's not really useful. I guess he can only really choose to take those offensive spells. I don't think heal's going to make the biggest difference in this lane because you just get blown up like that. Steel getting pushed off by Kassin is big, especially because Utapon's not going to have the ability to cover. Utapon might look to rotate heal though, because Steel is getting dove between his two towers, essentially. Kassin does win the 1v1 unless towers get involved and minion waves. But Kassin die? I mean, he shouldn't die. He does die. I mean, sorry, when I say he shouldn't die, what I meant is he shouldn't die in the 1v1. Like, that's crazy. The fact that he dies there, really bad for the team. Especially as Arya's just gonna eventually do more than Yuzhou, just because of the way the two players play. Like, it's worth saying, Yuzhou is your, like... As I say, he likes playing mages, and... He likes playing... Oh, Utapon. Oof. He likes playing a very supportive style of mage as well. Like, he might output a lot of damage eventually, but like his main thing is setting up for the rest of the team. So he'll use his R effectively, but then he might not be very effective in the rest of the fight. This was a really nice setup by Harp, and I really like this Milan Harp duo. I think Utapon might get swapped to bot side for game 3, only because he does look shaky once he gets off like his comfort picks in the top lane. I mean, obviously he's not a top laner. I have only just noticed this, but Sion has Cole. I mean, it's worth it. He's actually winning on CS. Very ADC of him, to be honest. Oh, he's insane. Oh, but he's got Steel here with him. I mean, my reaction to that was very delayed because I was just confused as to what the blue buff was doing. But Honey's gonna die. They might have to trade Heart for it though. They might have to trade both for it. That would be tragic. Milan's gonna die. They're gonna trade Milan instead of Harp. And then top side, Utapon dies as well. Harp's gonna get in though. Harp's gonna trade. It's 2 for 1, 2 for 2 across all maps. Oh, but Kassin very, very weak as well. That was nearly a 3 for 2 or 3 for 3 on both sides of the map. It ends up as a 3 for 2 for CGA, but almost very, very good for DFM. Because DFM trading evenly at this point is actually not bad for them. Because we know, like, technically I'm sure in comp, technically it's kind of bad, but we know that DFM are a better team fighting comp. They're better at playing around objectives. So, like, if they can stay even up until that point, and actually they're ahead still on gold, it's just beneficial for them, like, overall. So, yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is decent from DFM. It does look like they're getting a bit impatient though, because they're not normally this proactive early on in the game. So we'll see what happens, but I do expect that they'll just keep up a relatively high tempo now. Because we've got a replay, we're missing the fight that's going down in the bot lane. Oh, nothing fucking happened. I mean, that's really annoying because I wanted to see what sort of set up the little skirmish. And I really do dislike the fact that the replay stays big. Like, I wish I had a choice, but obviously that's not how it works. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The bot lane, the Drake scuffle at the start off is going to be really interesting. I think DFM are going to look for a pick to start off before they go for the contest. Utapon's just going to keep doing this. He's basically just becoming the boss. He's just becoming boss. He gets a wasted ult out of his opponent, which is nice, I guess. Nap is going to just run from Utapon's zombie. But it means that CGA, they're getting denied a lot of farm in the top lane. Which is really nice. And it looks like DFM are going to take Drake as well anyway. So overall, really well played. I don't know how they managed to steal Drake, to be honest. Because all that seems to have happened is Utapon died. Oh, bot lane backed for CGA for some reason. Nice. Kassin is looking to do a similar thing to what Steel normally does when it comes to Herald, where he sort of goes for it on his own, and then like either the opposing team collapses, which DFM are not going to, they're not going to collapse onto it, or they just like ignore it and he gets it for free. One thing that I think is worth saying is I don't think that works when you are not just mechanically superior to your opponents. Or when your opponents know that they can just like cross-map you in some way, which most good teams do. As you can see, Steel's cross-mapping by taking the red buff. It's not a lot, but it means there's a lot of pressure on bot lane, and it allows Arya and Harp to leave lane, and it looks like they're probably going to set up for a dive onto Q and Honey, who should really be aware that this is happening, or that there's the potential of this happening. Especially now that Arya has left lane, they should be really aware of it. And they clearly are aware of it because the Nico's roamed down a little bit as well, and they're hovering a lot more under tower. So they've managed to effectively count that. Kassin and Nap coming up to top lane. It just seems really pointless because Utapon being behind is not a big deal. Like, Utapon just kind of wants to be behind. He's just, like, farming for gold. He doesn't even, and XP, he doesn't even care about anything else. He's just going to run towards, like, the next wave, cut off the wave, and then hopefully die for him. Like, he's fine. As long as he's proxy farming. As long as he's farming, honestly, he's fine. And proxy farming is just going to be fine for him. Honey shouldn't die without trading. This is a bit of a wasteful dive, especially as they had started it before the wave got down. They got Honey's flash even. Honey's gonna use purple gun, not the best gun. Cleanse on Milan. He still manages to trade, but they get the tower plate as well. Pretty poor tower aggro management from DFM, but we move. Utapon backing is a bit weird. I feel like he can just sit there and keep proxy farming, to be honest. But I'm sure there's a reason. He's not really bought anything nice. I guess he just doesn't want to lose tower too early by proxy farming, because Nap will get the tower quite quickly. There's nothing happening really. Just a reminder, while nothing's going on, they're showing a replay. Tomorrow, we get to enjoy Fennel versus Hawks, which should be one of the best of 5 series in the whole playoffs. And then next week, we get to see the lower bracket, where we get to see Sengoku tear apart V3. And Axes take on... Oh my god, why can't I think of it? Burning Core. Axes take on Burning Core. Which should also be a decent best of 5 series. I do expect, though, that none of those teams, apart from Sengoku, should really pose much of a threat. Especially as they're already in the lower bracket. Yeah, I don't see them doing too much. I don't know where the upper bracket teams fall. Like, I don't know whether if Crest lose this game, they go into the winner of Sengoku v3, or if they play the Burning Core Axes winner. I guess we'll have to find that out at some point. But, like, to be honest, that's not really all that relevant, because other than unless it's Crest Sengoku, nothing's going to change. So yeah, we'll see. What's so crazy about DFM is it really doesn't matter. Like, the kill score does not matter, which is normally something you'd expect to be like a big deal in lesser regions, lower relo. Kill score matters more, right? Because you don't get the macro advantages from doing other things. But DFM just objectively just do not give a fuck about kill score. They are so focused on making movements that threaten things, maybe getting a kill, but more just getting minor gold advantages everywhere and anywhere. And it really annoys me because they stop trying it when they go international. And I really want to see them just go for it again. And obviously, there's a level to which some of it just will not work internationally. Like, I don't think some of their roams will ever not get cross-mapped. But I feel like if they could get some good practice against like some LCK challenges or something, like I feel like they could really become like a genuine threat. And I don't see why an LCK challenger team wouldn't want to practice against a team like DFM, because DFM will just like consistently represent MSI, and like if you're a player, it's a great chance to get a decent like loan signing like Honey, or like a permanent signing. Actually, I don't know if Honey's still on a loan. He was when he was at Sengoku. I hope for him he's still on a loan, because I feel like he could actually go and do big things in LCK. Even if it's only for a smaller roster. I think he was signed to KT. We'll see. Cassin's definitely going to get caught out here, and Yuzio's ult to save him is a bit unnecessary, because he's going to get killed. Cassin will survive, but honestly I'd rather Cassin died there than Yuzio. That's one of Yuzio's big faults, as I mentioned earlier, but he's a very supportive mid laner. He'd honestly be better off playing like top lane or jungle or something than mid. But I don't think anyone's ever going to tell him that. So, hey ho. Maybe I can tell him when I'm out in Japan for my third year of university. We'll see. No, there's no chance. That Yuzio kill, by the way, I didn't pay attention. I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't draw attention to it straight away. It got traded for a Drake and a T1 bot lane. So first tower and Drake and a kill. All because Yuzio decided to cover off for Cassin. I mean, they'd still got everything if Cassin died, probably. But, you know, that kill was very impactful. They did manage to get a second Herald, though, in return. So they got both Heralds this game. Still didn't get any tower plate. Did they even use the first Herald, then? What even happened to that first Herald? That's insane. Utopon's going to trade his life here for the tower, which is worth. And he could have, if he'd have gone back, instead of worrying about dying to Cassin, if he'd have gone back, he'd have killed that there, 100%. So that was a bit of a misplay from him. I do think, though, that given he doesn't play top lane, I think he's playing this really well. Q's got caught out, as has Honey. They're both probably going to die. No, they're going to back off from Q to try and not lose anyone. They end up losing Harp anyway. Probably should have committed for the 2-for-1, but Milan's just going to get 3 hits on his tower whilst no one else is down in bot side. There is a collapse coming to him, but he's aware of it because they've got good vision in the enemy bot side jungle, and he's going to get away in time. He might need to count though, because Nico is hiding as a minion, but he's fine. It is kind of crazy. So this here, I'm really upset about this gank. Harp dying for nothing should never have happened. So they got a decent engage with the Sedge ult. Arya gets his ult off, and then Harp obviously gets the follow-up engage. And then Arya goes back before they get Q. They could have got Q for that. And they wouldn't have had to avoid, because it was going to be a 2-for-1 instead of a 1-for-1. I guess Arya's sake, it's worth playing it safe. I don't know. Best to go for the 2-for-1. But, you know. We'll see. Yuzio hiding as a minion absolutely catches out Arya here. Arya is followed up by Cassin as well. He's on his own. He's surviving, dancing quite nicely, but he's going to probably die. The TP comes in. Cassin obviously turns into Yone. Yuzio's going to trade up his life for it. Cassin gets away scot-free, though. His Utopon gets his first kill on the game. Cassin not actually scot-free. His Harp and Milan managed to follow through. But it's now 4-on-3. Cassin dives in, gets caught and killed. Q's going to definitely die, as he's surrounded by 3 players. Milan, hopefully they donate the kill to Milan, as he needs the money the most. And they do. And that is a beautiful play, a follow-up from DFM. CGA pulled the trigger on Arya as he gets caught by minion Yuzio. And they're going to lose another potentially here with Nap. As Steel gets a good engage, Heart follows up and beautiful engage. And they're going to lose the tower as well, as Utopon finally on the scoreboard, showing that he's a true... He has a great impact when he's part of the team. Part of the reason why this was such an effective play, though, was that Honey just wasn't there. Really unfortunate for CGA. I mean, you can see here the minion catching out Arya as he fails to count to 4, like all good Yone players. And him getting caught out here. What I don't get is, why does Honey just never move? Oh no, Honey does move down a little bit. But I'm assuming he must get told to stay, because I don't see him enter the fight. Whereas Nap does. Okay, it's because walking down, it's already 4-on-2, 4-on-2. So there's no point. That's why he didn't walk down properly. Okay, that's my bad for not seeing him in the mini map. It's just unfortunate that he's not fast enough to get down. Probably, I say he probably should have rotated sooner, but I guess like you don't know how quickly DFM are gonna collapse onto you, and you don't even know if they will. They might just give up to a one for nothing, as it's just one player. But yeah, good response from DFM. CGA just unlucky there after they pulled the trigger, and I feel like Japan's too results orientated, because I feel like CGA will now be more hesitant to pull the trigger, because like the first time they've fully gone for it, and they've just got absolutely punished. And part of the reason why they got punished so much was they tried to go for the follow up once they got collapsed on, and they should have just accepted the 1-for-1 or 1-for-2 if Kassin died. So yeah, bit tragic. We'll see what happens there. I'm so hungry right now. I'm gonna have to go and get something to eat before game 3 starts even. Hopefully, I say hopefully this game ends quickly. Actually, I hope it doesn't end quickly because I want CGA to win it. But you know, we've got to get a bias up. No, if we're talking good league, I actually want to see DFM win it. But like, I want to see CGA playing good league because I want to see the region playing better league. Oh, Steel. See, how does Steel not get punished there? He dives between 3 players. And you'll get, oh, okay, to be fair, no, you don't have intel on where any of the other players are. To be fair enough from CGA. I'm glad they didn't pull the trigger. I think DFM there do pull the trigger and they get the kill and run away. But actually, to be fair, that's better league from CGA to not pull the trigger there when you don't know where the other 4 players are. So fair enough. And they got away with backing without getting their recalls cancelled. So fair enough. Well done from them. Yeah, I'm calling for good league. We're getting good league, and then I'm criticising it. So I'm an L. Ooh, nice ult from Utapon. Ujo's probably escaped here for free without anything happening too deeply. But it's worth noting that is a lot of damage, actually. Utapon's just going to commit. And he burns the ult from Ujo, which is worth a lot more than Utapon's ult, really. Good play. The only good news for Ujo is that he didn't have to use his flash, and he's still got TP, so he can engage on the follow-up fight from this. As Arya gets onto Kassin, Kassin's completely caught out. Kassin goes down very, very quickly. Look to see a follow-up play onto someone. It's going to be Ujo most likely. Arya gets a massive ult off and kills Ujo. Arya gets over the wall to safety. He's very low. Milan taking on Nap in a 1v1 as Steel takes on Q and Honey. Q and Honey both go down as Milan beats Nap. Honey is definitely dead here. There's no way he gets out of it. Beautiful play from DFM. I do question though, why CGA's like attack was so split up, especially when Utapon's not there. Just go onto one person, get onto one easy target. Like, I get that once the fight like breaks down, I get why Nap then just chases after Milan, trying to go trade his life for Milan. But like, why was they so split? Almost as soon as Kassin died, or even actually as Kassin died. To be honest, there was quite a big gap, and there was definitely not. There's no target prior there. Like, I know I find it really annoying when, like, LEC players, like, just shout a player's name over and over again. Or RCS players just shout a character's name over and over again. But it's like, I'd rather you did that and you had good target prior. Like, you were targeting the same person. Then, like, you just do damage to loads of different people. Because, like, as Harp goes in here, like, Honey's damaging Harp, but no one else is. And, like, Honey's your main damage dealer, but Harp should not be your target. And then here, they're just so split on who they should damage. They manage to go after Arya, but they don't do enough because Honey switches too late, and then obviously Nap goes after Milan when he realizes the fight's basically doomed and he gets split off properly. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't really want to hear you shouting like, oh, go after Zaya, Rakan. I don't want to hear that, but like, if that's what you need to get good target prior, then like do it until you get good target prior. Like, I don't care, just do it. I mean, I know my team, but like, we're not the best team in the world. Like, there's a reason why we're not in the EMEA Masters, or even close to it. Like, we just say like, oh, I'm going off. Like, it's sort of like in that situation we'd have gone, oh, Rakan, and everyone would have gone after Rakan. Oh, Yone. And like, it's like it's one champion call and it's one person, and like, okay, it's not the best. I'd rather we just all knew who to go after. But like, at least it's coordinated, you know. It looks a lot better than that. As DFM are just going to walk this in here. Arya gets a good engage. I think Q's going to go down here. No, Q manages to escape thanks to his flash. Steel is the first target that they go as that CGA go after. Utapon's just gonna completely get people away. Oh, but Harp goes down to Kassin, but the Nexus goes down in exchange. Beautiful game for DFM there. And I'm going to get some lunch whilst we wait for the next game to start, as DFM take a 2-0 lead early on in the game, in the series. So now we've had lunch, it's probably about time to get into game 3. Hopefully we can see a fight back from CGA, because I'd like to see a decent series. DFM are pretty dominant in the way that DFM always are, in the sense where they take early advantages and then sort of just lead on them basically to extend them. I expect to see some crutches coming out of CGA that might be in the form of, like, I don't know, Honey playing his favourite champion in Vizeri, maybe Kassin playing Seju, who I said he likes to crutch on quite a bit, Yuzhou maybe playing something more traditional, I don't know, probably still a mage though, maybe something a bit more traditional. And I almost expect the opposite out of DFM. I expect DFM to go for power picks. Maybe they'll go something comfortable for Milan. I did expect to see Utapon playing ADC for this game. I don't know why. Something I heard during the break suggested that he might be. But I don't think he will. I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. He's looked good as a top laner, so I don't see why he wouldn't stay there. I think like still got quite a gap until we get to the actual draft. So I don't really know how to fill that gap, because we've done a lot of commentary in the break about what I might be doing. That includes the fact that I will start covering LLA from their playoffs, which start on the 25th in 3 days' time. That never clashes with LJL, so there'll be no reason to not cover both. I'll still cover the major regions every so often. I might pick up another minor region, or I might pick up another game as something to branch out on. But basically, the aim is to try and be more consistent. The Kaiser ban, talking of consistent, the 3 bans from DFM remain consistent in this entire series. CGA have made the same adaptation from game 2. And they instantly lock in the Seju, as I said, leaning on crutches. I expect this to be responded to with, like, a Nico. They might go for, like, a Viego or something like a powerful. I was trying to think of a powerful jungle pick. Viego's the first one that came to mind, but it's not necessarily the one that they will go with. They might go for something like a Wukong, I guess. But Wukong probably suits Steel more, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was something like a Viego. I just kind of want to see DFM go for power picks here, and I expect that they will. I'll probably end up picking, like, nice Viego hover, very much what I expected. Oh, maybe. Nope, but they went for the Viego. Okay. I do expect, though, that hover of the Xayah was not maybe not accidental, but it's probably going to be like a later pick, because they do like Xayah on Milan. Milan is a very comfortable Xayah player, so it wouldn't surprise me. The lock-in of Z is a bit weird. I did say usually might go for something more traditional, but I do think that's a little bit on the weird side, because Zero isn't the first thing that strikes into my mind. I guess it is a traditional mage I was talking about, but a bit different, I guess, again. So I guess, you know, some of those things we were talking about. Rel is very seen as the strongest support in this region. I'm generally seen as very strong support, so that's been picked up. Nice to see for CGA, and I know Q can play it. The pickup of Xayah is sort of what we were saying. I want to see a hook. No, not a hook. I want to see an unpredictable support for Harp here. A good, unpredictable roaming support for Milan. I do expect to see Rakan get banned, so we don't get the Xayah Rakan. The Samura ban is interesting. It's a good honey pick. It's a good comfort pick. I guess it's countering what I was saying I think CGA should do, so I like that. Honestly, I think you should now look, if you're DFM, you should look to ban out Nap. Give Utapon a nicer pick for himself, a nice counter for himself. I don't know if that's the angle they'll go with, but that's the angle I would personally go with. They've gone for an Ashe ban. I couldn't tell you the last time Honey picked Ashe. I expect he'll go for something like the Zeri here now, because Samira has been banned, and obviously Xayah has been taken away, so I imagine he'll probably go for Zeri. Here, I expect to be a support so that we can get a good counter pick for Utapon. I quite like the Blitzcrank hover. I don't mind because I want to see a roving support. I don't know whether it's the best. I mean, it's a good follow up on what Viego and Nico want to do, so it's fine. Here we go. The Zero pickup for Honey. I almost guarantee this gets locked in because it's one of his favourite champions, and it's good in this situation. Well, in the situation by which I mean Cloaking Comfort. Nap has been good on Cassante. I don't mind the Cassante pickup in terms of trying to pick comfort. Makes me question Yuzhou not going for like Galio again a bit more, just because not like holistically comp wise, but because like everyone else has gone comfort. Like Ku has gone his most comfortable support, Honey's gone his most comfortable ADC that's available, Nap's gone for a very comfortable top laner, Kassin's gone for his crutch champ. Like, it just makes it seem a bit weirder. I don't know, maybe there's some logic behind it. The use pawn counter with the Gnar is fairly common in this region. We love Gnar as a region in Japan. So yeah, kind of what we were expecting, to be honest. Very nice to see. Glad I got something right for once. So I've just had an interesting question in chat about like what I was talking about with other things I might cover, like outside of League of Legends. And I don't really know yet. The idea, initially I was going to say something like Valorant, because like Valorant does interest me. I'm not very good at it, but like maybe like having a beginner's perspective on it might be kind of interesting. As someone who came from another game, like played League of Legends, played Rainbow Six at very high level before I started getting into YouTube, and then it completely died off in my mind. I could not give two shits about R6 anymore. So maybe it'd be interesting, but Val sort of dies off at exactly the same time as League of Legends. Like, it's building up for Champions right now as we're building up for Worlds. I think Champions happens before Worlds, or like basically as we're qualifying for Worlds in League. And then like they've got no off-season, and League has no off-season. And like, I'm never going to be the guy who brings you loads of rumours. So what I need is something to fill the off-season. And like, I was thinking at one point that could be football. I don't know whether that would work though. I mean, I could do football coverage. I don't know. Maybe if I do football, I need to get consistent with League of Legends. So we'll try. I mean, we've got to get consistent with this league stuff first. So I guess that works. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's no real intentional direction for this channel. We'll just sort of see what happens with time. Let's get into this game 3 though. DFM versus CGA. I'm expecting to see a sweep, to be honest, but maybe we can see CJ fight back. I've had confirmation though that the loser of this game drops into the lower bracket and plays the winner of V3 Sengoku. Most likely Sengoku, as V3 haven't managed to register a series win in summer. But if it is V3, it could be very interesting, to be honest. Mostly because Sengoku would be out, and V3 would suddenly have to have beaten, in my opinion, the third best team in the region. But if it is Sengoku that they play, could be in for a very interesting series, as obviously Sengoku not here because CGA got the forfeited victory over DFM. So we'll see what happens in that. Nothing really to report in terms of runes. Fleet Footwork on Gnar is an option. I'm never a fan of it. I don't know why. I always don't really like Fleet Footwork. It's weird. This is just a mental block for some reason. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I expect, as I said, DFM to win. AI seems to not think it's as favoured for DFM. I'm guessing that's because CGA have gone for comfort picks that they all have massively high win rates on for the region relative to their other champions. Because remember, in the first game it was like 80-10 or something like that for DFM. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, let's get into it. God, almost immediately Harp just stares down the bot lane and deals a ton of damage with that hook. It's beautiful from him. He's doing way too much though. Harp, let the opposition play, man. We want to see a series. Come on. The sheer impressiveness of Blitzcrank in LJL is outstanding to me. How the hell has just one hook landing managed to get Kahu to burn his flash after an earlier one got Honey to burn his flash? Oh my god, I'm coughing. I'm actually dying. Between me dying off camera and me saying I was going to die off camera, nothing's happened in game. This is tragic. That's sad. I really don't know how commentators keep going. Like, we're in a best of 5, and we're in game 3, only game 3 of 5. And we're at the start of the game where nothing's happening. Like, or like the same things that happen in every game are happening. Like, okay, you can get excited for Hook, but I don't get how you can just like keep commentating this. Like, absolutely nothing is happening. But nice burn of the flash from both top laners. Utapon definitely wins this engage. I think he might go and try and hop and follow up. I think Nap's gonna live though. Nap's fine. He's gonna get out of the fucking wet noodle slap. Games always for me feel really slow until the first objective is taken or the first blood, and we might get both here as Steel goes to go after the Ocean Drake. We get Kassin coming for a gank on Utapon. He gets the flash on the flashless Utapon. He's got the Q, and there we go, first blood CGA. Woo! Come on, and instantly traded back for an Ocean Drake. Good cross-map play from both teams. We love to see it. Come on, LJL. I believe. It's also worth noting that despite the fucking first blood for CGA... Oh no, the gold's just corrected itself. There was a 7k gold diff in DFM's favour, but it was glitched. The account was glitched. I was about to comment on it. Fuck's sake. Well, you know what? It means that CGA are winning. Let's go. Come on, we're getting a series on our hands. I believe it's only taken a lot of time. Whilst nothing's happening, I keep seeing comments that my room is really dark that I'm in. Let me just show you like the outside. Oh, I've disconnected my headphones, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you can see it's so dark outside. That's the only reason. It's just like horrific. It's like really wet and rainy. I'm missing a team fight where Arya gets off a nice ult. We'll have to ignore the camera looking shit, but Arya dies. They managed to get one back onto Yuzio, but Harp goes as well. It's now a 2-on-2 as Steel enters the engage, gets off a nice hit, sets off his R. He's not going to get the reset, but R from Milan goes slightly wide, but they do manage to eventually get Kassin. It's traded back onto Steel as it goes 2 for 2? Does it 2 for 2? I actually don't know, because I wasn't paying attention. Fuck! Of course, as soon as I stop paying attention, stuff happens. Wait, it's got to be more. Must have been a 3 for 2. Because it was 1-0. There we go. Maths. I can count. Oh, here we go. We can see it properly here. So how does this even start? Is it Arya just going for the R? Or does he step... Okay, no. So Yuzio goes in for the slide to get his R off. Arya uses his R back. Gets caught as it's a 4-on-3 where one team was more prepared. So yeah, it's basically just CGA were more prepared for that engage as they initiated it. Very lucky that they got that trade back kill though, to be fair. And as I said, it was a 3 for 2. I'm glad I can do maths. Also, having just said it was really dark outside, it's got sunny. It's got, well, it's not sunny actually, it's just a bit brighter. Also, my camera is so high. I can't do anything about it. It's so annoying. Oh well. You'll just have to deal with it for games when I'm like streaming and watching games rather than streaming commentary. Because when I stream commentary, it's on this monitor to the side so that it doesn't look like I'm looking at my script as much. Spoil you everything. See, I don't know whether this is because I know that DFM will win the series, like, even if they lose this game. But, like, I really don't feel like DFM are behind right now. I really just don't feel it. Like, I feel like if you had a fight at, like, Drake, DFM probably win it. I mean, Utapon's going to die here after a nice R from the Seju. As I said, Seju is a really good clutch for this team. I mean, he's already 4-1-1. Steel going to get the cross map by getting the chickens. Yuzio is going to come across to contest because he's on vision. But Yuzio does get it quite comfortably. Harp's going to come across to try and cover. I don't know if they're going to commit onto Yuzio. It'd be a bit risky. They do manage to get the stuff though. He does go for the flash hook. Beautifully done. And they don't even have to trade anything. I guess that's because it's a 3-on-1 there. If it had only been the 2-on-1, it'd have been a lot riskier. Nap going to get the tower plate though and top as a cross-map play whilst Utapon backs. CGA looking to get what I think might be their second Drake of the series? Maybe third. We'll give them 3. They do get it. Minimum contest as Milan and Arya were too far away to allow DFM to actually contest properly. I do expect, though, that probably is the last Drake of the series for them. I don't know why. I've got a deep feeling it's going to be 3-0 without much happening. Yujo's got to watch here again, as DFM might just go for the same play as Harp does have his Hex Tech Flash. He's not going to go for it. Instead, he's just going to use it to hop over the wall to safety as they secure the Scuttle Crab. Because there's no way Kassin and Ku get there in time. Really nicely done. The Harp Steel combo is really nice. And I do like seeing it. I mean, it's annoying that it's the team with 3 Koreans that are really well coordinated. But, you know, we can't have all our wishes. I do think, though, CGA have put up a bit more of a fight than I was expecting. Especially in this final game, 2-0 down already. The fact that they're still ahead on gold is really nice to see. Okay, it's just switched to now DFM are ahead. But, you know what I mean. And they're gonna take the lead again, right there. Which is really good. I'm glad to see that CGA are actually putting up a fight. Because I really didn't expect them to. Because after all, they are like the 5th best team in the league. So we've got depth to our league now. I'm actually going to move my camera again. Viewers will not have to see it. I mean, we're going to have to watch it like this for now. I mean, I'm still the same distance. It's fine. It's fine. The main camera sort of... but it's fine. It's an interesting push. I'm literally watching this with a fucking viewfinder at the moment. You're gonna have to find a better way. I do expect though there's gonna be I reckon it's gonna be the next Drake fight might just swing the game back into DFM so far. There just needs to be a team fight, and I think DFM take that, and then the game basically ends. And this sounds really pessimistic because I actually do want CGA to like do well. Like, sure, they're my least favourite team in the upper bracket by quite some way. But that's only because they've never shown themselves to actually be good. Like, if they started showing themselves to be good, I'd be rooting for them. It's like Hawks are my favourite because they have the most potential of any team in the upper bracket. So why V3, I will always like them because they'll always produce good players, like future solid players. Like Yujio was on one of the worst LJL teams of all time. And look at where he is now. He's currently playing for CGA in an upper bracket semi-final. As Arya gets off the good R to save Utapon, he's going to at least get one of them. Can they keep Utapon alive without... No, Utapon's going to die, but they're going to get 2 for 1. Beautiful play. Yujio going to come across, though, and it might end up not being a 2 for 1 in favour of DFM. It might be a 2 for 2, as the team now comes across to try and save Arya. They do end up trading 3 for 2 in the end. A bit of a shit show, to be honest. I don't know whether DFM could have played it cleaner there. They probably could have done. We'll see. Well, I say we'll see. I say we'll see. We saw. I think the answer was yes, they could have done it cleanly, but I don't know whether they could have done in the time frame they had. Because what I'm thinking is like if Arya had gone across more slowly, maybe it gave more time for Milan. Harp and Steel. Yeah, it was Harp and Steel to get across and save him. But I think then maybe they just get out with the single kill on Utapon. Because, like, if you look at this, so Utapon, obviously chasing after Nap, gets ganked by Kassin. I assume Kassin chucks out basically everything. He hasn't got his ult, but I assume he just chucks out everything at him. So he challenged it in this situation where the fight's... Like, Utapon's doing quite well. Here you think, oh, he can probably save Utapon. So I guess that's why he TP'd when he did. And then Utapon gets a bit unlucky with the direction of things. Probably should have hopped back towards tower rather than towards the wall, to be honest. And then Yujio comes across. No, maybe not. Maybe there was nothing else he could do, actually, to be fair. I mean, Utapon probably should have just got out rather than opting into the 1v2. Because he could have done that. But it would have been more challenging. And maybe would have made it harder for his team to come across and cover. And they're almost certainly going to get a Drake out of it anyway. So the 3 for 2 and a Drake are really nicely done. They are going to have to trade tower as Arya is trading against Yujio under his own T1 top lane. Yujio's definitely going to die. He does. Arya's going to trade though for his own life. But Kassin's going to tank up a lot of the tower and is going to have to cut the wave and try again to get the tower. I do question. So Honey's like actually is probably worked out better for them because instead of Kassim getting the tower, it's going to be Honey, who's been pretty anonymous in this game. Milan has at least done stuff. Honey's been relatively anonymous. He's 1k gold down near enough. He's 800 gold down. And he's also got XP behind. He's behind on XP to Milan. It's a bit worrying, really, when Honey is basically your win condition as he's your best player and on his comfort champ, which is a carry champ because he plays ADC. So it's a bit concerning. I would be a little upset if I was a CGA fan about that because he has been so anonymous. But like, I don't know. He's playing into a very good team. Like obviously Milan is the weakness on DFM, but Milan isn't a bad player. Like he's just green. He's just very green. They're gonna get mid T1 here, our CGA, which puts them up, puts them back level 3003 as Arya goes in with his ult, which misses. Yuzhou gets a massive ult on himself, and that's easy trade onto Arya. Well, 1-0 onto Arya. First kill for Honey of the game. Suddenly he's heard about being called anonymous. They're going to get T2 here as well in mid. Kassim goes in. He's probably a bit overextended here as he's going to get traded back. Nap's got to watch it as well because if he gets caught then it's 2 for 1 and it's not really worth it. Kassim uses his ult to take Steel out of the fight, but Nap's now all alone. He's going to get caught on his own. Nap does manage to get 1-0, but he gets traded back. They managed to get one back onto Milan, but that's traded back onto the Rel. Yuzhou now fighting versus Utapon. He would win the 1v1, especially now as Honey joins in over the wall. It's going to leave it that as we leave the fight 3-3. Oh, but now we've got a TP channeling in for Utapon. Looking to... Oh no, it's Arya actually. Looking to catch Honey. Arya shouldn't catch Honey. Oh, he wastes his flash. He gets the flash out of Honey as well. And manages to get him. Beautiful. I thought that was a completely wasted flash. I thought Arya was gone. I thought Honey was gone. I thought Honey was clear. And then Honey burnt his flash as well and still died. Really nicely done. This fight should have been a lot cleaner for DFM. They should have won it. But Arya missed his ult and only managed to catch the Sedge, which is just never going to be worth it. And then the 3-man knock-up with the Azir is just always going to counter a 1-man Pot Blossom. We're setting up for a fight around Baron by the looks of things, which could be quite interesting because I think DFM just win it every time, especially given they just won that fight despite not having a good Pot Blossom, not having a good setup. But we'll see, I guess. CGA maybe have a different read in the way that they are setting up around Baron because it looks like they're aggressively setting up around it with their vision, rather than DFM who don't really have much vision at the moment. They're going through now, clearing it as 3. So we'll have to see. Oh no, they're clearing it as 5 actually. So maybe they've got a very much better position now. The aggressive vision's all gone for CGA. So DFM could look to rush it if they choose to. Kassim, worrying about that's going to step into the river alongside Ku and Honey. They haven't got a lot of vision, but they have now set up their own vision. They don't know where DFM really are. They do know Steel's there, but they don't know about the rest of the team. Harp chooses to hop over the wall, and he's going to run straight into the to the blue side jungle of CGA. Utapon is losing on the trade to Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't think he really gives a fuck. If we're going to be completely honest, CGA might look to rush it here. They've definitely got the setup to do so, but they might also just look to maintain the vision. It's a lot more passive than it was initially. Initially, their vision was set up around chokes, looking to take fights. Now it's set up around just making sure that they can see if Baron starts being taken. They've got 20 seconds until Mountain Drake spawns, so that might be where the fight happens instead of Baron, or they might look to see if they can trade it. I think if you're CGA, you've just got to be looking to react and trade for whichever one you can take. I don't think you can really take either fight. Although I don't know if you can actually take the fight later on either. Maybe you just want to get Baron because then you can flip the map in a favourable position for yourself. But there's not a lot of standing gold. As both teams, they've already taken 4 Drakes. As the Seju goes over the wall, Seju's basically caught. Seju's going to die here for nothing. Although they have got a lot of chunks onto Steel. Steel, though, is going to not get his reset. Milan is very, very weak as he gets flashed back into the team. Nap is probably going to win this 1v1 against Utapon. And suddenly it's 2v2. But the 2v2 is massively in favour of CGA as it's just a Nico and a Blitzcrank. But the Nico effectively gets away quite nicely. Yuzhou's still chasing, but Harp is there to delay. Yuzhou's going to just tank up all the damage and be stuck on his own. I want to see what happened to Milan there, because I didn't see anything until he got caught by the Azir. So I have absolutely no clue what happened. We're going to follow Milan. So he walks in to help deal damage to the Seju, makes sense. Rail gets over the wall, gets hit by that a little bit, and then Boy slides in and Azir him. Okay. He just basically tanked everything, because he didn't have his R or his flash. Nice. Good job. Worth saying though, this does kind of prove that I was maybe slightly wrong about what would happen if they fought, because CGA did win that fight. They're setting up around Drake here now to take another fight. CGA in a lot more passive positions as DFM occupy the river. It is worth saying that Cassante is up in top lane, but he does have TP. His DP wards are either in the Dragon Pit itself or behind it in the blue side jungle. He's now TPing blue side jungle as DFM commit onto the Drake themselves. They're just going to burn it down. Oh, no, maybe not. As Arya engages with the Pot Blossom, the R from Azir is equally as effective. As Azir goes down, traded one for nothing. Ku is also very weak. He's going to go down to the Viego. As Honey dies in a perplexing way. Nap is now being focused down by 4. Seju, the only one to get away. Drake should be the next thing as they turn to do both Drake and Baron. As I said, I do think CGA probably should have taken a trade of objectives, because now they're stuck with Seju probably trying to steal. Harp. Come on, man. You know that's too far. With Harp trying to steal the Drake from the Blitzcrank and the Gnar, or maybe the Blitzcrank and Gnar are just going to play security guards or bouncers until their jungler themselves can come over to Drake. Or maybe they're going to take another fight, because it looks like for now no one's taking it. As we can see that Seju and Rel are setting up around Drake, and Drake is still alive as we speak. The fight, as I said, very interesting. I don't really know why Honey skirted in there, but rather than trying to get away and just sacrificing his team to get away, because they'd have lost one less extra body, but you never know. Currently, the team's fight set up around Drake is completely different this time, with DFM being the ones locked out from River. Hart manages to hop over with Hextech Flash. TP coming in for the Gnar. They're going to wait for this Gnar. The Gnar's got a decent Gnar bar. He's straight into Mega Gnar now. And he's going to get a 2-man ult. Beautiful. As the rail goes down on the other side of the fight. Honey is also down. That's most of the damage gone for CGA. Cassante manages to get the ult over the wall and manages to catch Milan on the flank. But as he does, the rest of the team goes down 5 for 1. And they're just going to ignore the Drake as DFM go to push in and probably end the game. With Baron enhanced minions, they've got 27 seconds on the clock before anyone meaningful spawns in other than Honey. And that should be the game. Interesting series. I think CGA showed that they can do a bit more than I expected. They still look like they're significantly worse than the other top 4 teams, the actual top 4. Which makes me even more pissed off that they did manage to get 4th. But they did more than I expected. So, you know what? Good showing from them. Hopefully they can show up against whoever they face against Sengoku or V3 so that we can get a good game. Join us tomorrow. Join me tomorrow for Burning... No. That's not... It's definitely not Burning Core. If it was Burning Core, I'd be a lot more happy. Tune in tomorrow for Hawks versus Fennel. There we go. I got it eventually. I hope you enjoyed. That was a long-ass stream. It will be a long-ass video as well once I set it down. Enjoy.